When you know, no man. Yesterday go in my haircut, you know what I'm talking about. It's a barber.
So good to see you all, and God is good.
Right.
When I walked in this morning and saw this guy, I'm like, God is wonderful.
Amen.
You're doing a great job here.
Amen.
And I am so happy because you know what? This is what God calls us to.
Yes.
That's right.
When churches are established and they develop and they're growing, it is not for us to stay there and remain there, because a lot of times you tend to become what? Dormant. Take an example from the Apostle Paul. Those apostles, what they did. Paul went about what? Planting churches. So as soon as a group is raised up and they're strong in the Lord and doing well, then you move on. Because the commission is that we should what? Evangelize the world. Evangelize the world. My brother, I'm not familiar with your case, but happy Sabbath and God is good. Yes, as I'm no stranger for most, if not all. I mean, everybody knows me. And, I must say that I am extremely honored to be asked to speak to this congregation. As I told Sister Flomo, I am not an expert. But as a spirit, I did ask the Lord to guide my thoughts and whatever the message He wanted me to give, whatever the charge. This is coming from God, not me.
Amen.
And of course, you know, it was not without challenges, of course, because shortly after she asked me, I got extremely sick. Yeah, and for those who have been familiar with my journey in the past, I cannot tolerate soy. And of course, I have been doing extremely well for the past 10 years because I try to stay away from pre-packaged, pre-cooked, whatever stuff. But in the last year, I was exposed to it unknowingly again. I bought, because I've been using olive oil or coconut oil as my oil substitute, and I bought some olive oil and was using it to cook. Started getting sick and just couldn't understand what was going on. Long story short, the oil was mixed with soybean oil.
Wow.
And that thing almost killed me.
Wow.
Not only that, it messed up all my organs. That's, you know, it poisoned my body, basically, long story short. And then after started taking the treatment that the doctor gave me to recuperate, got even worse sick. Only to find out that he had prescribed the wrong medication.
Oh, wow.
So the devil tried to take me out 2 times within that year, but God is good.
Yes.
And I give God thanks every day because I keep saying, God, it has to be a reason and a purpose why you have spared me. I do not know, but I know for sure that it's not because of anything that I've done. But He has spared me for a purpose.
Amen.
And so it has been a long journey from last year, you know, I'm still not 100% there because it threw me into hyperthyroidism and, you know, your body's just burning like crazy and long story short, but God is good. Amen?
Amen.
So from that, I got sick shortly after Sister Flomo asked me because I realized that my organs, my liver was not processing. So I had to do a liver detox, and that just... So, Virgin, please pray for me. It has been a journey. But I'm standing here before you this morning to give all the praise and glory to God.
Yes.
Because it is He and He only. It's not anything that we have done. Amen. Amen. So, church planting. This is the work that God has called us to. Amen?
Amen.
And of course, for those of you who already know that I moved on to the Northeast at the time, approximately 9 years ago, to assist them in their church plant. And of course, the journey was a long, arduous, self-sacrificing one. And as long as we are aware of the fact that it is not our work, it is the work of God, and we allow God to be your leader, we allow God to be the sovereign one because it is his work, it is his church, then it will succeed. Failure comes when we start to focus on self and other things. I know our brother Barrett already prayed, but I'm just going to ask us to bow our heads once again and invite the presence of God. Loving God and our Father, we are so grateful. We are so thankful for this beautiful Sabbath day. This day, Lord, that you have set aside so that we can come apart from ourselves, from the cares of life, from everything that distresses us and everything that annoys and create unbalance in our life here, Lord. We can step aside from all those things and just to focus on you, to worship you. We thank you for this opportunity that you have given, Lord, so that you can speak to us. And so now, Lord, as you have chosen me to be your mouthpiece, I pray that you will be my tongue, you will be my voice, and that it won't be my words, dear God, but it will be yours. Give us a receptive, open mind and heart today, and may, as we listen to your voice, may we receive you, dear God, and may your Holy Spirit bring that work of transformation in our lives and motivate us, dear God, to go forward to finish this work that you have called us to. Thank you for all you have done and will continue to do for us now, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. How many, when it comes to church growth and church plant, it is understood that yes, the more people we can evangelize, the better it is, the more successful we'll be. But I'd like to ask a question this morning. How many people should we aspire to bringing into the church? Is one person good enough? 2? 3? 100? What do you think our goal should be? I mean, it's free to communicate.
Quality is really rather than number.
Okay, quality. Okay.
I mean, all people are valued, but it's, do a good job when you bring it.
Anyone else?
Are you talking about numbers?
Yeah, I'm looking at numbers.
75, 80?
Okay, so you're saying as long as it's more than one, it's good. The more we can aspire to, the better.
Not necessarily true. It may feel better or look better, but doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, I don't think we're looking for a mega church. That's not what we're.
I'm hoping I'm understanding the question that you're asking.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I asked the question because we find that many times we tend to focus on numbers.
Mm-hmm. Good point. It's okay. It happens here. We all go through that.
Okay. Okay, so we are actually saying that numbers are not all that important, right?
Right.
Okay. So from that backdrop,
you, sister.
Yes, sure is. Sure
You know,
is.
Patrick, the other day, I was supposed to talk.
Why say so?
All right. We'll see what happens.
Come on.
Can't bring it up.
No.
It just didn't
Go back to that
automatically
memory that got you.
delete itself,
Don't worry
but
about
that's
it.
okay. Okay, so numbers are, we're saying that numbers are not necessarily important.
I think it's the work that you do for God, is what you do. Not the numbers,
It's not so much the numbers.
not so much the numbers, it's
Okay.
what you do all the time.
And I do agree with you, I do agree, and my brother, I also agree with what you said. But let's look at it from this angle. If there was a house fire, or God forbid, that there is a house fire right now, and we're all here, and it happens that we are trapped, we can't get out. But yet the firemen, they're trying their very best to see how many persons they can save. And they come, they risk their lives, and they realize that maybe they can just pull one person from this house. Would that be good enough?
It depends on the person that's left inside. Think about it like that. Is one good enough?
Okay, and let's look at it from this other angle. If we were, say, for instance, we were out on a lake and trapped, in a boat, and the boat starts sinking, and there are other people coming to rescue, but somehow they can only save one person because there's just one life jacket. Would one be good enough?
Yes.
No.
Better than none.
One is not good
It's
enough.
not good enough, but it's better than none.
Yeah, I did
One is
save
bet-
one. I did save
One is better than zero.
I did save one.
One is better
And
than
zero.
Even if it's, let's look at it from a family structure. Husband, wives, kids. Would saving just one person, maybe a child
No.
from that family, be good enough?
No.
Yes.
It would?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm getting mixed
Because
responses.
if
And this, and this is something that I'd like us to consider, and as I continue, then you'll understand. Because what I'm trying to bring out here is the value of the soul. How important is the soul? There is an impending crisis ahead
Let's,
of us.
let's listen, everybody, she's preaching, we have to listen, please.
There is an impending crisis ahead of us, amen?
Amen.
You understand that? And soon and very soon, this world will be plunged into burning inferno. And for all those who have not been faithful to God, will be destroyed. Are we content to allow all those people to be destroyed? So, are we content to just talk to one soul?
No.
So how many? How much?
As many as we
As much as we can. Talk to as many as you can.
How important is the soul?
Very
We
important.
have to look at the world field as our family. And every person that is headed down into destruction will be lost if we don't try to rescue them. So we cannot be content to say one is enough. As long as I can save one from the deluge, it's okay. No, it's not. As many as we can.
Amen.
That is our duty.
Yes.
Many of us, we tend to ask ourselves, what is my purpose? God, what is my purpose here? Do we all understand what our purpose is? Our purpose in this life is to exemplify who God is, and to do His will, to bring others, draw others to Him.
Amen.
That was the call, that was the commission, that was what the ancient Israel, that was their job, that's what they were chosen for. To perpetuate the love of God, and to show, exemplify His character to the heathen world. And it is still that call for even modern Israel, for us today. We are called to be witnesses of Christ. How effective a witness can we be if we ourselves have not yet met the man, Christ Jesus? If we have not yet experienced it, how effective can we be? It's like a salesperson trying to sell a product, and yet they're not familiar with the product. They have never tested nor tried the product. But yet they're trying to convince somebody else to use the product.
Yep.
It takes a very good salesperson to be convincing of something that they have no idea of. But in this situation, God wants us to have, all of us to have experiential knowledge of who He is. Which means we have to have that one-on-one
Relationship.
interaction on a daily basis and experience of who God is. Because I cannot come and tell you that God is great, God is wonderful, if I have not experienced it. So in order for us to be effective witnesses for God, we have to first try and develop that relationship with God, to get to know Him, to know who He is, so that we can share. Oh, amen. Thank God it came back.
Amen. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask some poignant questions right now. And just for emphasis, in terms of what I'll say further. How much money do you have? Because we're thinking of a church plant, and of course we know that takes money, right? So how much money do you have? Do you think you have sufficient to get this project on the go?
No.
Not yet.
What influential connections are you associated to? Anybody that can help you to expedite some aspects of this church plant, in a very effective way. Yeah, and maybe we also do have some connections out there. How spiritually equipped are you? And the other question, how well can you preach or teach? That's wonderful, sweetie. You see, all of the above questions may be relevant at some time in our Christian experience of witnessing and building up the body of Christ. However, the first and foremost important question we need to ask ourselves is not so much as to how much money I have or there is, but is, Lord, what will thou have me to do?
And yes.
That is the first and foremost and most important question. Lord, what wilt thou have me to do?
Yes.
What is your will for me, Lord? Because, we tend to have bright ideas, and of course we consider our capabilities also, and we figure, well, I can do this. But is that what God is calling you to? Whatever you're aspiring, whatever you're going after, is that what God wants for you? What wilt thou have me to do as it relates to discipling, church planting? And of course, we're given the commission in Matthew 28, and we all know it. Matthew 28, 19 and 20. And this is an extensive call, an extensive commission. But it's also one that is specific in view of how equipped we are for this call. What has God placed in you that he can use to expand his kingdom? So what I'm saying this morning is that we need to not so much focus on what the goal is, because we know that God has called us to be witnesses and all that, but we have to first turn that introspective light on ourselves and start talking to God to hear expressly what his will is for me, Opal, as an individual. And when I've done that, when I've communicated with God, and when he has given me the go-ahead and confirmed in me that this is what I want you to do, then that's the time then you should launch out. And you should launch out in his grace, in his strength, not our own personal strength. So let us focus on three critically important words this morning. And the first one is ask. Ask. Not many of us like to ask for help or ask for anything, because we tend to think that we are also self-sufficient. I can do it. I can handle this. Some of us, it's, that little seed of pride
Yeah.
that prevents us from, seeking help. But we are commissioned to ask. When we first understand our place and the gravity of this important work that is entrusted to us, we would be humbled into insignificance before the all-powerful Supreme God. So we have to first understand the gravity of this work. Do we truly understand it? Do we truly understand what we're called to do? How important is the soul? Do we just consider it a light thing? We are commissioned to go to God with the humility as of a little child, asking him to reveal to us his will and purpose and the work he has equipped us for. And you may ask the question, how do I know? How can I know what I'm equipped for? The Lord promises that what? He gives to men his blessing severally. And we are all called to various and diverse aspects of the ministry. And to all those whom he has called, he has what? Equipped. So it's for us to know what aspect of the ministry we want. And if we know what aspect we're called to, then we will know that God will equip us for that aspect. Because not all persons are called to be preachers. I know I'm not. Not all persons are called to be teachers. Not all persons are called to be deacons or deaconesses. But God has called each and every one of us for a specific job.
Yes.
because none of us are independent of each other.
Amen.
So we should go to God and ask Him to reveal to us what He has equipped us for. I may be a good speaker and I can talk and but possibly that's not what God called me to. It's for us to find out what gifts God has given me. We are commissioned to spend time in prayer. Prayer is vital. It is essential. Without this, you're headed for failure. Complete failure. And I'll just say it off the bat. If you choose to launch out in a work as this that belongs to God and not consult Him, then it's headed for failure. It may seem as if it's going good on the, in the starters, but eventually, if you're not working with God, you're working with the devil, and it's gonna head failure. So prayer is vitally important. We are told that prayer is the lifeblood of the soul. With God, we can do all things. All things. So God is the source that we need to connect with. So it means we have to be praying daily without ceasing, because that's what the Bible says. And especially in a time like now, where we have been privileged to be living in the last period of Earth's history. Amen?
Amen.
I mean, when we consider it, it's a blessing.
Yes.
It's a privilege. You know how many of our apostles and for all those men of faith that has gone before who wish that they were in the last days? And they thought they were in the last days. But we know for sure we're in the last days, right?
Yes.
And not just because of the signs and that's happening around us. Because those apostles, those men will tell you, yes, they had signs that indicate to them that they thought that they were in the last days. But we are told for this generation that shall see these things happen, this for sure we know that we are in the last days. The generation that see the things as predicted being fulfilled in Matthew 24. Know for sure that we are in the last days. And to be co-laborers with God in these times, in a world that is so debased, where sin has gotten to its max. I don't know about you, brethren, but every day when I see and hear and experience what is going on and how cold the heart of men is getting, I keep saying, Lord, come. Please come, Lord Jesus, come. If it was just for me, and I guess it may sound okay to say that, but then again, when you look at it from another angle, that's kind of selfish. Because what if Christ is to come now? There are so many others who don't want to come. But of course, when we see these things happening, our hearts should yearn for the return of Christ. And then that should motivate us even more to want to go spread the gospel and finish this work.
Yes.
We need to finish this work. It may seem as if Christ has delayed his coming, but it's not a matter of delay. We are the one that's not ready for him. And he came and he died. He died for every single soul. Every single soul. And you know what amazes me? That the same window of opportunity that God gave to Lucifer, Satan, after he fell, to repent, is the same window of opportunity he has given to each and every one of us.
Amen.
of that opportunity. God, the Bible says God is a patient, long-suffering God. Isn't he?
Yes.
I mean, we should be able to relate to that in our own personal lives. For many times we turn away from him, and many times we walk away, just like ancient Israel, we do some, and we go back to God and we confess, and yet he is still long-suffering. He's still merciful. And the question we tend to ask, why didn't God just cut Lucifer off? We wouldn't be going through all this. But God loved him just the same. Because what? He is his created being.
Yeah.
And it's the same mercy that he has extended to us. And we, in return, once we possess the heart of Christ, will have the same extent of mercy and care for those who are perishing. We would not want to see a soul perish. So, going to God and asking, praying, one, for the transformed life, so that we as an individual can be able to experience God, to know who God is, before we can reach out to someone else. The most effective testimony and witness that a person can give is what? A testimony of their own experience with God. Look at the Apostle Paul. He was a very effective minister, wasn't he? And if we should go back and analyze his scripts and his sermons, he would start out by sharing that Damascus Road experience. He would relate, oh God met him on that Damascus Road. And that's what really transformed his life. And that was the driving force behind his ministry. After meeting the true God of heaven, we all need an experience, so that when we stand before someone to tell them about who God is, we can be talking from the heart.
And
Prayer is essential. We're encouraged to tarry with the Lord. Develop a prayer life daily. And I'm saying this, and I'd like to emphasize the point that we should be praying consistently. But you may ask, how do I do this when I have my daily activities, my daily chores? How can I keep praying when? But brethren, we're told that prayer is the breath of the soul. We never ask ourselves, how can I breathe and do all the other stuff I'm doing? Because what? It comes naturally, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's how prayer should be.
Amen.
It's part of our life. You do it without even being conscious that you're doing it. And if you should stop doing it for a few minutes, you'll feel the effects of it, right? Just as if you stop breathing for a few minutes. You know that you're losing the life support. Well, that's how important prayer is. So therefore, you talk to God, and it doesn't mean you're going to go down on your knees all the time. It means you're just going to open that line of communication between yourself and God and speak to God in your heart. Every little thing, consult God. And that's a form, and we're getting to the other aspect, the other word. That's a form of surrendering
to God, to allow God to have control. We cannot be living in these last days and not understand the value and the importance of prayer. And when we have that connection, the Spirit of God will be there with you, and He will impress the heart. So even if you get caught up in doing something, the Spirit is going to say to you, pray. Just take some time and pray. He does that. So our morning and evening devotions are not good enough. If that's the only time you choose to talk to God, it's not good enough. It should be a consistent communication throughout the day. Communion with God. And when we find that we have that relationship with God, then God is able to use us in such a marked way. That's when we are connected to the vine and we can do nothing outside of God. Nothing at all. So prayer is essential. It is essential as we align ourselves with God for the winning of souls to Him. Because a soul is important. A soul is important. We are counseled to pray collectively. That means we come together as a group and we pray. Pray individually. So you're going to pray for strength, individual strength. And of course, we have been given examples. In the book of Acts, Acts 1 and verse 14, we are counseled. They said that these all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication. In prayer and supplication. And that's what we're commissioned to do. Of our own selves, we can do nothing. But through Christ, we can do all things. Co-laboring with God for the souls of men is a high calling which should not be lightly regarded. We are told that Christ died for every soul, and to wrestle each soul away from the enemy cannot be trifled with. You can't play with it. For the infilling and equipping, the disciples prayed without ceasing until they were filled with the Holy Ghost. And God granted them success. They tarried. And on that day,